So I understand that J.D. Greer has renounced his position that, the Bible only whispers about sexual sin as in comparison to its shouts about religious materialism and pride or something stupid like that. And good for him. It takes a certain amount of guts to retract something that you said so publicly. Very pleased to see him do that because that was one of the most brain dead takes I have ever heard in my entire life about any topic. Hello there, this is AD Robles, and you're listening to AD on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. Yeah, listen, here's the thing. On this channel, we talk a lot about the tone police and things like that. And when you think about why J.D. Greer said this, right? Like, was he confused at the time? He didn't know that the very passage that he was in actually doesn't shout or doesn't whisper about sexual sin. In fact, that's one of the primary focuses of the passage that he was in. Did he not know? Is he confused? I mean, also he could have just been plagiarizing it. He could have just, passed his pastoral duties over to docent and just read from a script like Barack Obama or something like that. That could be an option as well. And he just read it, and he's, as he's reading it for the first time, about to give the speech, because it really wasn't a sermon, it was a speech. As he's reading it, he could be like, "Oh no," in horror in his mind, "I can't believe I'm reading this." Maybe that's what explains it. I don't know, but I don't really think that's what it is. I'm just joking around. I think that there's a clear desire in Big Eva circles to be very welcoming and winsome with pagans, people who have pagan beliefs, and the idea, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be welcoming to pagans. But what they do is that they kind of adjust their messages, and they adjust how they do church, and they adjust what they emphasize in order to appease the pagans. That's what they do. And I remember one of the very first comments I ever made about the social justice movement was that a lot of these guys owed the seeker-sensitive guys a huge apology. Because a lot of these guys, like, in the Gospel Coalition circles, they used to come out hard against the seeker-sensitive stuff, and that's why they had their gospel-centered movement, kind of in a response to that. And they would rip them, rightfully so, because the seeker-sensitive people were out of their minds. But the gospel-centered people, the Gospel Coalition people, they were doing the same thing with social justice. It was just seeker sensitivity in a different way, at least political seeker sensitive. And so that's why a man would be possessed to say something so subversive, something so opposite of what the text says. Like, the text is literally shouting to you about sexual sin, and you read it and say it's whispering about sexual sin. The only reason that you think in those terms is because you're trying to appeal to the world, which is pushing sexual perversion in every single capacity that they can. And so that's why you would say something like that. And so the issue that we have is you look, whatever you think about my tone, my tone has changed over time. When I started coming out against social justice and things like that, I had a very careful, very measured. In many ways, I wasn't, being as truthful as I could have been. I was trying to play this sort of Big Eva game, at least to a little degree. And because I wasn't compromising on the morality, though, see, that was my big sin. I was saying it in the right tone, according to Big Eva. I say right with air quotes on it. But I was not being flexible. I was saying, no, you actually can't be partial whether you're black or white. You actually can't be partial whether you're rich or poor. You actually can't do these racialized schemes that you're running. You can't actually do them. That's not biblical at all. Because I was uncompromising on the biblical morality of the issue, I was getting ripped as a divisive person. I was getting ripped, and many people have been in this position. I'm not trying to say poor me, and I was happy to do it. I wasn't, whatever, who cares? But basically, if you weren't doing this game where you were softening sins in the Bible that are popular in our culture, if you were trying to soften or de-emphasize or kind of, lay your weapons down or say, oh, no, that's a political issue. We're not to be political. We're the church. If you were not doing that, you were told that you were an idolater. You were told that you had a tone problem, that you were sinning by worshiping Trump or something like that. And here's my message today. You were told that by guys like this, right? Who were lying to you back then. He was lying to you back then. I didn't read his renouncement because I don't care. I don't care why he renounces it. I'm glad that he did. Good for you, J.D. Greer. Now you have only 103 problems with your message that you're promoting to the world instead of 104. But no, I'm glad he did. I'm not taking anything away from it. It does take a certain amount of guts to recant something that you said so forcefully in the past. I do commend that. I think that's a good thing. But these are the guys that were telling you had a tone problem when you said, no, see, that's a man in a dress. That's not no, there's no pronoun hospitality here. That's insane. And see, the thing is, like, you keep doing the right thing, guys. You're going to get called all kinds of names. They're going to tell you you're sinning. They're going to tell you you're divisive. They're going to call you a Pharisee. They're going to say that you're a fundamentalist. All these things. That's the worst they got, by the way. I mean, they can call you bigot. They can call you racist. They can call you a fundamentalist. They can call you anti-Semite. That's a good one that they like to use. But that's all they can do. That's all they got. And once you realize that ain't nothing, you know what I mean? That's nothing. Then you're free. And you're free to serve God. You're free to obey God. Because here's the thing, guys. Like, there are people are being hurt severely by the lies of people like this. When J.D. Greer, and again, I'm glad he renounced it, right? So I don't want to harp on it too much. But when guys like J.D. Greer, because there's a lot of guys that are not going, because a lot of times the damage is done. When you say something so brain dead and idiotic that serves, you getting attaboys and pats on the head from the culture, a lot of times people, they don't care that you recanted. They're going to believe it. They're going to go with it. And they're going to say, I guess the fundies got to him or something like that. A lot of people still believe that the Bible whispers about sexual sin and all that. And then they mutilate the Imago Dei, the image of God. They mutilate that to mean something like, you have to respect every single thing that these image bearers do, and you have to support it and help them. And it's like, but there's real consequences here. Every time somebody says the Bible whispers about sexual sin, in this context, when the world is lost its mind about human sexuality, it gives the world a little bit more of a foothold, right? They don't care that you believe that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, so long as you're not insisting on that in the public square. So long as you're trying to soften it, try to get people to not be public about those kinds of beliefs, to do the pronoun hospitality thing, because you're kind of going along with it if you're doing the pronoun hospitality thing. Like, the minute you become a heretic to the culture, then they'll be relentless. The minute you don't condone somebody's ridiculous transition where they pretend that they're a girl now, they've been a male their entire lives, they're still a male, but now they're going by a new name and they've left their family and stuff like that. I know people like this where they've left their family and they've abandoned their children and they've become a cross-dresser publicly, to the shame of their family. I mean, they're shaming their children. They're shaming their family. And they're being celebrated by these demons. These people are being hurt sometimes to the point where they're I don't want to say they're beyond repair, but because nobody's beyond redemption or beyond God's grace. But it drives them to the brink. Every single time you think you're supporting these people in their freedom and then the image of God, you're affirming the image of God in them by doing pronoun hospitality. I mean, every time you do that, you're actually driving them further and further and further into slavery. Satan has baited the hook and said, look, here's how you become free. You know how you've always been a little bit effeminate? That's actually not a sin. You know how you've always been attracted to other men? That's That's actually nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, the way you live your life in a free way is you cast the bonds of God from you. You say, nope, I'm not living that way anymore. See, that's slavery. What God has for me, what God has told me, that's slavery. My life of freedom awaits. All I have to do is start mutilating my own body and taking hormone pills. And every single time a cowardly pastor pretends that the Bible isn't clear about these things, or worse, says that the Bible affirms these things. Every time a limp-wristed Big Eva person doesn't say, look, you don't have to say it like me. I'm not saying you have to say it like me, but you cannot compromise. See, that's the thing. You don't have to say it the way I do, but you cannot compromise one iota, because that's not your iota to compromise on. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? Like God's morality is there. It's his. He owns it. He tells you what to do. It's not yours to bend. It's not yours to de-emphasize. It's not yours to pretend that he's whispering it. God didn't whisper it. He spoke it. And you don't get to decide, well, I guess he didn't really mean it because that's the thing. So every single time you do that, you're driving these people further into slavery. I saw a video that is, it's hard to watch, and it makes me furious. It makes me furious because this man decided to post a video to talk about how he regrets his attempt to transition, right? Because nobody can really transition, obviously. You are still just a man in a dress. You always will be, so long as you're cross-dressing. But some of these people go so far as to get the surgeries and to do the hormone pills, and this man clearly regrets that. Now, I'm not sure why he regrets it. I don't know exactly what's motivating that. He explains a little bit. It's only a 2-minute video, right? It looks like it's a larger video, whatever. But what you're gonna, I'm gonna play the whole thing. What you're gonna witness is a man that has come to realize that what he always thought was going to be his salvation, his freedom, he was going to be, he was no longer going to be a captive anymore. He was no longer going to have to live by these oppressive fundamentalist, puritanical rules, and he was going to be free. Satan told him he was going to be free, and a lot of Satan's minions in the form of doctors, in the form of pastors, in the form of media personalities, they all told him the same thing. You will be free. All you have to do is just take it, right? You have to seize the day, you have to self-actualize. You will be free. And this man is realized that that's actually the opposite of what he became. He actually became enslaved, worse than he ever thought possible. Let me play this video for you.
I'm angry. What's going to happen to the kids and the youth? And there's so many people who regret this. There's more and more and more coming out, and younger too, on puberty blockers, that been on puberty blockers. And I read one that I think he went on puberty blockers at 16, and now he's like 20 or 21, and he is like suicidal because his penis won't grow anymore. Like, it does damage. It makes me so angry.
Yeah, it does. It does damage. It does damage to your physical body. It does damage to your soul. There's no denying that. Like these demons have convinced themselves that erasing the image of God is like the highest form of freedom, right? The real image of God. I'm not talking about the nonsense that Jamar Tisby talks about. That's not what I'm talking about. These guys are trying to destroy themselves and the reason they're trying to destroy themselves is because they do bear the image of God, and they hate God. The natural man hates God. We understand this, right? This is not special for this guy. All of us have been at this moment where Satan has baited the hook, and he said he's promised us freedom, and we've believed him. Sometimes some of us, we believed him for a long time. Some of us believed him just for a moment, right? He promises us this freedom, and really it's just slavery. It's just slavery. And so every time one of you idiot Big Eva people starts saying, "Oh, the Bible whispers about this. Oh, we can agree to disagree, and we got to find the middle road and stuff like that." Like every time you guys do that, you drive people into this kind of slavery.
And what we're gonna get is a generation that's screwed up. That are screwed up in like 10, 15 years. Wait, not even. I think it's getting
all your idiotic racial justice efforts that have nothing to do with the scripture. They're just this pragmatic thing that the world's promising. The world's promising you will have racial reconciliation just as long as you do the reparation thing, you do this, you do that, you do all this nonsense, right? All that's going to do is drive a further and further wedge between people. It's going to escalate racial tensions. Of course it's going to, because it's subversive. That's the intention. It's going to escalate racial tensions. It's going to whatever trust people had for each other in the past is going to continue to drive that further and further apart. This is what you're doing when you're pretending that the Bible's not clear, crystal clear about all this stuff, and you're saying, "Oh yeah, well, obviously the world needs to come in and correct the church." I mean, Jay-Z, he's done more for racial reconciliation than the entire history of the church. 2,000 years of the church and all that. It's like, you guys, this is not innocent rhetoric. That's the point. This is not innocent rhetoric. You're destroying people. You're enslaving people. A lot of times you're just enslaving and destroying the very people you pretend to love, but you don't love them. You don't love them. You love the accolades. Some of you are doing it for money. It's a grift for some of you. You love the accolades. You love the grift. You love the spots that you get to write an article every 6 months in the Washington Post. You sold your soul to write an op-ed every 6 months for the Washington Post. I hope you're happy. I hope you're pleased with yourself. You see, that's not the point of this video, not to rip Big Eva. We rip Big Eva all day. But guys, this is what I want you to think about. When you're getting called, a divisive Pharisee, when you're getting called a fundamentalist and stuff like that, keep doing the right thing, because there are real people. We're going to finish this video. This is a real person with a real soul who really needs forgiveness, who really needs redemption. He's living with the consequences of his rebellion every single day. Not all of us have to live with the consequences in this way. Not so obviously and so severely, physically in that way. But every single time you refuse to have pronoun hospitality, every single time you refuse to stop calling these demons groomers, every single time that you say, "Look, the Bible is crystal clear. You shall not lie with a man as with a woman. It is an abomination." We don't soften it. It is an abomination. Every single time you do that, remember, there are people that are enslaved in that will be woken up by the word, because the word of God is powerful. That's the thing. It's not you who's powerful. It's not you who's doing it. It's God speaking through you when you refuse to bow the knee to this ridiculous culture, this upside down subversive culture that we find ourselves in, right? This is the thing. Don't be tempted to soften the message of God, because there are real people's lives at stake. Keep doing it.
It's accelerating quite quickly. When we get 30, 40-year-olds that are going to be like, "What the fuck did I do when I was 16 or whatever?" And you can't go back. You can't go back. I'm sad for myself, of course. Not in a victim kind of way, but in I need to, this process of mourning who I was is touch and go. So, but I'm sad for humanity and the children and what's gonna happen when they're screwed up. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. And I really, really hope that all these professionals get their friggin' karma, because I know that some of them don't realize, and some of them might be brainwashed and whatever, but some of them know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Cash cowing.
Of course they know what they're doing. It's a grift for these people. These people make money off it. The people that produce hormones, they make money off it. The people doing these surgeries, they make money off it. Of course they know what they're doing. And it doesn't even matter if they do or if they don't, if they're brainwashed, whatever. The actions are the same. It's not like it's a lesser sin and it's a lesser crime if you're grooming a kid, but you were molested as a kid, so you didn't really know it was wrong. Like, that doesn't matter. You're still doing the action. And the thing is, like, this is not just about trannies. This is not just about cross-dressing, right? This is about everything. This is about, like I look at Kyle J. Howard the same way I look at this guy. He's a tragic figure, and one day Kyle J. Howard is going to wake up. I hope it's this side of eternity, right? I hope it's this side of eternity. He's going to wake up and realize that everything that he thought would make his life better, everything that he did and engaged in that he thought would make him free, has just further and further enslaved him. This is a very hateful person. He's one of the most hateful people that I know. And he's going to wake up one day and he's going to realize how hateful he's become. He let the demons get a foothold in him, and now he's just been a puppet of Satan this entire time, just drawing hatred and strife and envy, just pushing it and promoting it and taking money to teach others to do the same. This is what his whole job is promoting envy, strife, and all of this covetousness, all of this, and pretending that it's godly, pretending that it's from the scripture, pretending that he's being biblical and everybody else is this big problem and he's got this trauma. After all, this trauma is just too much for me. That's why I hate white people, because I got the trauma. Every time I hear a worship song, I got the trauma. I'm sure you do have trauma. It's no excuse. I'm sure you do. Kyle Howard is such a broken man that I'm sure he's got trauma. It's no excuse for fleecing the people of God and promote. And this is the thing. Kyle Howard is similar to this guy, and he's making others just like him, right? And all of you idiots who allow your wives to support Kyle Howard, who allow your wives to share his stuff and promote him and stuff like that, all you idiots who did it yourselves, because you wanted to appear sensitive, you wanted to appear to the pagans like you weren't like one of those Christians. All of you guys bear some of the responsibility for this, because you created this environment that promised freedom, but all it did was enslave people. This is why I encourage you, if you know what's true and you know what's right, and you speak it. You speak it. You do the right things. You continue to refuse to do evil. Don't follow the crowd in doing wrong. Don't do that. It's very easy to do that. Don't do it. The next time there's another one of these shootings, don't follow the crowd and lynch the guy before you even know what happened. The next time you see a story of so and so, he's the most evil Republican since sliced bread. He did this and that. Don't go with the crowd and convict him before anyone ever even knows what happened. Right? Just keep doing the right thing. They're gonna call you all kinds of names. And sometimes they'll kick you out of their churches. They'll excommunicate you. They'll do whatever they think that they have the power to do to you. The woke mob will come for you. Keep doing right, because people's souls are at stake. People's souls are at stake. Let God judge between you. Let God judge. I've been slandered so many times, and again, this is not poor me time, right? I'm okay with it. I don't know why. It doesn't really bother me the way it probably should. I've been slandered so many times. Look. Here's what I do. Sometimes I'll respond to it. Most of the time I will not. And you know what? God will judge between us. God will judge between us. And that's just how you have to deal with it, man, because there are too many people, and I've said this before, the content that I've done for about this racial justice stuff, I do it because I know there are blacks and Puerto Ricans that have been enslaved by these woke demons that have infested the church and demonically influenced the way people talk in the church and the way they preach in the church and stuff like that. I know that these demons have enslaved so many people, so many of my countrymen, my kindred, people that I love. And I'm thinking about every single time somebody slanders and says I'm a bigot or a racist or whatever, I'm thinking about those people. I don't care if E. Fitzgerald thinks I'm a bigot. I don't care. I'm thinking about the real souls, the real people that are being enslaved by these demonic doctrines. That's what I'm thinking about. And all of you in your real life, you've got people in your real life that have disowned you because you've just refused to go woke with them. I've got people in my life that have disowned me because I refused to stop speaking truth at a time when I didn't feel like many people were, right? I refused to stop, and I've been disowned because of it. And you know what? Let God judge between you. It's just that simple. Let God judge, but keep doing right. Do not go with the crowd to do evil. In any case, I hope you found that video helpful. God bless. Don't forget to tune in next week on Thursday for AD on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. Yeah, that video, that messed me up, man. That messed me up. I've been thinking about it since I watched it, and people like him who's coming to this realization. And it's not just for the transvestite people. It's for people who have been lied to by Satan in every which way that's being celebrated right now. What they need, because I keep thinking, like, what if this guy came to me? Like, what does he need? What does he need me to say? What does he need me to hear? What does he need to hear from me? And obviously, I'm not saying that all he needs is something for me to say something. I mean, obviously, he needs to be listened to. I get that. But what people like this need is to find people that they know won't lie to them anymore. People have been lied to in every which way, up one side, down the other, in every form of media. Everyone has been lying to these people. And what they need is someone that they can trust that won't lie to them anymore. Whether or not you like me, or you like my tone, or whatever, that's a judgment call. Some people like it, some people don't, and that's just how it is, right? Some people are going to hear me, some people are going to close their ears. That's how it is. We get that. But one thing I hope that you've over the years that you've been watching this channel, some of you are newer, obviously I get that. One thing I hope you know about me is that I might be wrong about something, but I'm not going to lie to you. That's what this guy needs. When people who have detransitioned, and that's just I can't even use that term. It's like a propaganda term. Like people who have pretended to be a woman, but now have realized that they really are a man. You know what I mean? God made them a certain way, and they're embracing that. When they come into your assembly, are you going to lie to them? Are you going to soften the truth? Are you going to groom them? I mean, that's the thing. Are we going to groom them into the kingdom? Or are we going to declare the sure words of God as if they have power? These people have been lied to, some of them for their entire lives. And we need pastors who are going to say, look, this far, no further. I will not lie to you. You can say it in a nice way. You don't have to say it aggressive. But don't compromise truth, even 1 inch, because it's not your truth to compromise.